start with the external jugular veins. Right? Then we have the masseter. We have the digastric. We have the mylohyoid in the middle. We have the sternohyoid below because the hyoid bone's right there. And we have the sternocleidoid mastoid or sternomastoid. And so if you look closely here, you see a little V inside a bigger V. That's the sternomastoid for the cat. Okay? Any questions? Any confusion here? For the chest area, we have the pecto antebrachialis. Right? That's the pecto antebrachialis. Oh. Yeah, there it is. Someone separated not very well. So that's a pecto antebrachialis, pectoralis major, pectoralis minor, and then of course the symphy humerales. And coming down the abdominal region, you have the rectus abdominis. This is called the aponeurosis, and this is the linea alba. Okay. Here, we're going to go through the abdominal muscles first. We have the external oblique. I already showed you the rectus abdominis, external oblique, internal oblique, and transversus abdominis. Okay? On the side, you have the latissimus dorsi that really goes to the back, but we reflected it back. You have the teres major on top, and you can see the separation on both sides. And you can see the subscapularis, right? And then you can see the serratus anterior. Here, this little muscle we don't have. And I showed you how I cut it back from here, and you have to do this on your cat so you can see underneath. This is called the epitrochlearis. Okay? You can see the veins and the arteries leading to the arm. Here, you can see the biceps brachii. Everyone see that? The biceps brachii? This is the medial head of the triceps brachii. This is the long head of the triceps brachii. With me so far? I know it's a lot. This is the palmaris longus. You think of the palm and this long muscle. On either side are the flexors. There's a curved muscle here. That's the pronator teres. Okay. Now we're going to go all the way down. So now we're at the thigh. Any questions so far?
They're just called the flexors?
Yeah, for the quiz. For the practical, look on your slide and you'll see the flexor ulnaris and the flexor radialis. Okay. This is called the sartorius. Remember, it made a V before you separate it. Sartorius gracilis. This, hopefully you kept the fascia part, is the tensor fascia latae. Okay. Then that revealed the quadricep group. So that is called, this one is called what? Very good. So what was this one then? Lateralis. By the direction, right? And what would this one then be in below? And then what would this muscle be on top? Okay. Now, you have to do the femoral triangle, so make sure you do that for the dissection quiz. And what you have here is the femoral nerve, the femoral artery, and the femoral vein. So you got to clean this area up. You also have to know the semimembranosus. These are the adductors. For the practical, you remember that this adductor is called the adductor femoris. It has two heads. And this is called the adductor longus. And that's the pectic meus. Okay? Now for the leg, I'm going to show you on this side because actually you can see it better on this side, even though I didn't clean up. It's connective tissue, but you can actually see it. Let me do this real quick so you have a better view. And so what I'm doing is reflecting back where the femoral vein branches. Where it branches deep, If you can see that right there, it's branching deep, deep. That's the deep femoral vein. But where it branches and it comes superficial, that's the great saphenous. So this that I'm holding up, the blue part, is the great saphenous. Okay? That's the great saphenous. So where it branches, deep is the deep femoral, but here is the great saphenous vein. Okay? So now we did the thigh, and so we want to look at the leg. And the leg, remember that the sciatic nerve here goes into the tibial and lateral, the fibularis, the common fibularis. Okay. So I'll show you that in a minute. So from the medial view, you have GPS, and I'm going to reflect this back so you can see GPS clearly. And that would, of course, what's the G stand for? What's the P stand for? Plantaris. What's the, can you stop?
Oh.
And what's the S stand for?
Soleus.
Soleus. Now you have an extensor on this side because the flexors flex backwards on the leg, right? You're going back. So that's the flexor. That's the flexor digitorum. Now I'm going to go sideways. Now I'm going to show you those 5 muscles I made you dissect. You have GS, so that's the,
Gastric.
and S is the, right, the plantaris you can only see from the medial aspect. So lateral you have gastrocnemius, soleus. You have this complex. This complex is actually 3 muscles. And in your CAT slides, they identify all 3 muscles. But for the quiz and the practical, you just need to know that this is called the fibularis complex or the peroneal complex. Okay? The next to that is the extensor digitorum longus. Remember, this is the muscle that was halfway buried under the tibialis anterior. So you had to follow that tendon to unbury it. Do you remember that? It was like that. You really couldn't see it. Okay, so that's the extensor digitorum longus, and that's then the tibialis anterior. So now we've done everything here. Remember that this is the aponeurosis and this is the linea alba. On this side, we're going to start with the upper arm. So these are all extensors here. And you can see the tendons. So when they're activated, the arm extends. This is the lateral head of the triceps brachii. In your you just have to know that all these 3 muscles, this one, and the medial head make up the triceps brachii. But in the practical, then you have to know the individual heads. Okay? Lateral, long, and medial. This right here is the brachialis. And this is, of course, the biceps brachii. Okay? Now, for the back, the first thing you want to, this is the latissimus dorsi. You want to remember sac. So the trapezius in the human is a huge diamond-shaped muscle. And the deltoid is just one big muscle here, deltoid-shaped muscle. And the cat is actually 3 separate muscles. So they're called sac trapezius and sac deltoid. Sac stands for spinal trapezius, acromial trapezius, and clavicle trapezius. Okay? So when you dissected the latissimus dorsi away from that spinal trapezius, I told you leave it intact. But now you're actually going to have to come all the way to the end, clip it so you can reflect it back. And I'll tell you why in a minute. So now this acromial trapezius has to be separated from this. Also has to be separated from the clavicle trapezius. There's a muscle in between. I thought I dissected. Oh, I guess I dissected. Not completely. Anyway, it's better if you separate it completely so you can stick your probe in there. Let me do it. Because this is called the levator scapula ventralis. You can have it on the practical. I don't think it's on the cat dissection quiz. But it's important, this little muscle, well, besides it raises your arm, Also, what it does is separate SAC trapezius from SAC deltoid. Now, I didn't clean this part up, but you guys have to clean up the connective tissue so you can see the 3 individual muscles. And because the separation occurs, you know that this muscle right here is called the spinal trapezius. This is the acromial trapezius, right? And this is the clavicle trapezius. Deltoid, thank you. A point for you. Spinal deltoid, acromial deltoid, clavicle deltoid. Thank you. Okay, now this is called the thoracolumbar fascia, and all I want you to do is to remove a little piece of it. Then you'll see a bunch of muscles here. It's actually 3 groups of muscles that make up the erector spinae group. So I believe that's on your quiz, and if it's not, it can be on the practical. But I only want the erector spinae group. I don't want the individual muscles like the longissimus. You don't have to worry about that. Okay? Got it?
Got it.
Okay. So now we're going further down. We've covered, no, we forgot to cover one thing, the rhomboids. For the practical, for the quiz, you just need to know rhomboids. You have to put your cat in prayer mode. There was actually a lot of connective tissue here. So you got to clean up the connective tissue. You can just scrape it away. Okay? And then you're going to see the rhomboids. All of these are rhomboids. For the practical, you need to know that this thick band going from here all the way to the end is called the rhomboideus major. These little fibers here are called the rhomboideus minor. And the fiber that goes, or fascicle I should say, that goes all the way into the head is called the rhomboideus capitis. That's for the practical. For the dissection quiz, you just need to know these are rhomboids. Okay? I covered all that. Here are the glutes. So that's the gluteus medius, the gluteus maximus. This was attached, remember, to the biceps femoris. So that's the caudal femoralis. This is the biceps femoris, and that's the semitendinosus. Okay? From this going down, we already did the tensor fasciae latae, I know that, right? You can actually see also the semimembranosus from here and the adductor longus. But from here, the lateral aspect, did we do the leg already? We did.
Yes.
I finished. No, I didn't do the adductors. Did I do the adductors?
Yes.
I finished.